Okay, I'm going to try and talk to you about 3 different areas in my allocated 5-minute slot and give you a little bit of insight to what I think are effective strategies at Key Stage 5, specifically to do with drama. The first thing I'd say is about the atmosphere of the room that they're working in and the atmosphere around the department. At Key Stage 5, I make sure that when students are rehearsing, we use music and lights to get them into rehearsal mode. I say I do this at Key Stage 5, actually I do it at Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4 because it's started to filter down now, but there is a sense that when they are rehearsing and they are making material, the lights and the music are on in the space to give them that sense of an extra bit of buzz, an extra bit of performance. I then shut that off and there is house lights and no music when we then go into discussion mode and reflection. And actually just using those 2 modes of house lights and music and no house lights, I can also direct the lesson without even having to speak to them. So often they might be mid-rehearsal and I can see they're stalling and then it's not going well, and I'll just shut off the music, turn on the house lights, and they know they need to address that issue. They need to then go into discussion mode. We're also very lucky that we've got a balcony area around our largest studio, and we use this as a study space. Now you might not have that, but you might have a classroom nearby or somewhere, a corner of a studio that you could perhaps set this up. With this study space, it is tables and chairs, nothing fancy, but it is dedicated to anyone that is Key Stage 4 or Key Stage 5 drama students only. It's open at break times, at lunch times, or Key Stage 5 students can use it during their study periods. We have it right next to a huge bookcase full of resources, plays, texts, and it also means that when they are in studying, working on their drama work, they are close by to our office and to the support that they might need. And actually encouraging them to spend their free periods and their study time close to us means that they have that feeling of being supported. The other thing that we do beyond things like our open door policy and helping with auditions, which I suppose are fairly normal things, is that we have a dedicated rehearsal slot in our best performance space for Key Stage 5. We're a very busy school, lots of extracurricular. We've got students all the way up from Year 7 to Year 13 wanting to use studios at lunchtimes and break times to rehearse. We make sure that there are dedicated spaces for Key Stage 5 and that they have priority. Okay, I'm also going to talk to you about developing written skills, and I'm aware that I've got quite a lot on this slide and I'm fast running out of time. I suppose the best bit of advice I could say is to not be scared about written work. I think a lot of drama teachers coming in early on in their career are very confident around the practical side of things and then worry about the written. So here's a few little tips. The first thing I'd say is whenever you give an example material, make it the best example material it can be. Pitch it high, make it the norm. If everyone's working only with the top band criteria and you're only giving them top band answers all the time, you're pulling and you're stretching, and actually you're making it accessible, you're making it normal. The other thing that I love is something that started off as English practice, talk for writing, and it's basically an approach about getting students to talk about what they're going to write before they write it, and almost like a practice, a rehearsal. And I've developed this a little bit in the Key Stage 5 classroom because there is a lot of written work with those exams. And so if we're perhaps looking at a paper where they need to ultimately talk about how they would direct a scene, we start with that on its feet. We rehearse it, we develop the ideas practically, we then share and refine those ideas, and we start to get each other talking about what we can see and analysing verbally, and then we go into how we might consider writing that and expressing that in written form. One of my big bugbears is precision of language, and I would always encourage students to be as precise as they can when they are describing something. And there's a few more ideas there that if you wanted to pause this video and have a look, are fairly self-explanatory, but it's about sharing of best work, giving really detailed guidance for how they do things, but ultimately handing that responsibility over to the pupils. Give them everything they need, all the tools, all the criteria, but it is their responsibility and it almost acts like a checklist for them. Very briefly, because I'm hitting my 5 minutes, I'm just going to talk about department and building expertise. This might be controversial, but in my department we keep on a rota between the three of us, the same teachers teaching the same units at Key Stage 5. There is a sense that X is a Shakespeare expert, that Y is a frantic assembly expert, and we build on that, and that's what helps us get results year on, year out. That's not to say that we don't challenge ourselves. A couple of years ago, I switched from teaching one practitioner to another and knew nothing about them, and it was exciting to learn with the students. But I would say that definitely having a dedicated staff that are really expert in different areas is brilliant, and encourage that and to keep reading into that. There are a few more things here that I would say help to build expertise amongst our pupils. Having individual meetings with them about their areas of weakness, challenging them on their concepts and their directorial intentions individually, and making sure that they are crystal clear on those decisions ahead of the exam. There's a few more things on here that I haven't talked about, but if you would like to know more about, please get in touch, especially this last one, challenge around contemporary issues. We've just created a 2-week programme around talking about contemporary issues of a theatre director, and it's been brilliant. So if anyone wants to know more, please get in touch. So the 3 takeaways: create the right atmosphere and culture for learning, develop written skills as an extension of practical work, and build expertise within your team and your pupils.